So let's talk about this Eric Moore thing. This is the video that's been haunting me in my dreams. I already mentioned it in several lessons. Why do you keep playing the same stuff? Eric Moore would play this faster. But let's talk about it. After hating my playing for a few months after watching the video, who am I to think I could sound that good? A fellow drummer said something to me on Instagram that changed the way I looked at it. Right there. A mental shift that did two things. First, it made it easier to watch, interpret, and transcribe Eric's drumming. But second, it gave me a tool for seeing if I was on the right track with what I was practicing. But would Eric agree with it? Luckily, he responded to my message. The hack and what it means for our playing in just a second. But first, dig this cool channel theme. Let's sum this up. I first heard drummers like Eric Moore, Chris Coleman, Aaron Spears, Tony Royster, and Thomas Pridgeon in the early 2000s when YouTube was first getting going. Around 2007, when I got a practice space and started getting super serious about my own playing, one of my goals was to incorporate something of what these guys were doing into my own playing. So, how am I doing? This is a clip of me playing recently. And this is Eric Moore. Sad trombone, right? Next, let's talk about what I've been working on to sound more like him. Well, little interlude. Hey guys, this is Nate beaming in from the future with a quick note. Let's actually break down something Eric really played so that those of you who want a little meat and potatoes in this lesson, along with their philosophy, can get their money's worth. Okay, let's play this a little bit slower. 3, 4. Even slower. 3, 4. So, just a couple interesting things in this. One thing I see Eric do in a lot of spots is another interesting thing he does is this 5-note group. Let's break this down really quickly section by section, just as I learned it. The first part is obviously just... so he's doing kind of a shuffle groove. From here, we go... 4. And next, the most interesting part. 3, 4. So, a lot going on here. The first part, obviously the Herta, which instead of is... and then this little 5-note pattern, which if you continued it out would be... but he puts a 5-note pattern next to a 6-note pattern, so it makes 4, 4. And the last part, 3, 4, 4. So we put the whole thing together once again, 3, 4. And that's the Eric Moore lick. Okay, interlude over. Back to the topic. Anyway, what was I doing to try to sound like this? First, I figured I better work on my hands. So I developed a whole practice regimen to try to play faster. Then I figured I better work out some of these patterns. So I transcribed a bunch. I transcribed Tony, Nick Smith, Justin Tyson, Mason, Thomas, Dana Hawkins, and more. And I thought I better work out a bunch of exercises to get these guys' vibe into my playing. And a bunch of those ended up in my coaching course. More info on that if you click the link below, by the way. Then I figured I better come up with some rules and exercises for improvising some of my own patterns. So I came up with the exercises that became my gospel fills lesson. And it was rinse and repeat over the years. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Let's check in on Eric. Crikey, still way faster. Then a thought hit me a couple years ago. It was just a hypothesis. What if I stopped trying to be as fast as Eric, Tony, Ron, Mason, etc.? What if instead I started trying to be slower?
Yes, I will do the opposite.
As I've hinted in many recent lessons, I started to suspect the real skill was to play cleanly, creatively, originally, and the rest was just gradually adding speed. What if, as they say in firearms training, and as I've alluded to in other lessons, slow is smooth and smooth is fast? So I started practicing improvising, slowly, under control. And it was then that I made the realization I based my other way to play faster drum solos lesson on, even though it still needed months to develop. But here was my hypothesis.
12:45. Restate my assumptions.
Hand speed was only one obstacle to playing faster. The real obstacle was processor speed, how fast my noggin was, not just my hands. Time for my first conversation with Eric. I wanted to see if one of the most famous drummers on earth for playing fast agreed with my hypothesis that hands are just part of the equation. To my astonishment, he replied, "My mind thinks quickly, so my combos articulate how my mind works." So even Eric was playing top down. Sure, he needs chops to play even, to stay relaxed, and probably to inspire some of those ideas. But he sees his brain as an integral, nay, crucial part of the equation. So we've established that in order to play like Eric, Tony, or Thomas, we need our brain to be wired to come up with fills, phrasing, and combos. And further, that in order to play fast like those guys, you have to be able to play slow like those guys. But how do you tell if you're on the right track? And what do you do when the mountain seems super high? Well, my friend Nathan, aka Lucid Drummer on Instagram, hit me between the eyes with something last week. I'd been complaining, as usual, and Nathan came back with this. Your chops don't suck. Do me a favor and watch your own videos on YouTube at 1.25x playback speed, and you'll be impressed by your own playing. Well, here goes. So let's talk about this Eric Moore thing. Just kidding. Here's a recent improv practice I did at normal speed. Now, here it is at 1.25x. It goes both ways too. Here's Eric at full speed. And here's Eric at 80%. Here's Eric at 50%. That's more like it. Here's why that's deep. If you can play clean slowly and have good ideas, it's just a matter of adding speed to the metronome over a matter of months and years. But you can peek ahead, almost like looking at your future self by going 1.25 speed. And here's the thing, maybe that won't sound good. Then you know you need to adjust. But maybe it will. Maybe it'll sound cool and clean and original and not super repetitive. Then you can feel good. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. I hope that it's maybe sparked something for you that'll help you not only rekindle your practice a little bit, but feel better about where you are and be able to keep track of where you are in relation to your heroes. If you like this lesson, I wonder if you wouldn't mind going ahead and hitting the subscribe button and the bell below. I'd also like to thank Eric both for the advice and for his awesome content. I've linked to Eric's channel below. Finally, if you like this lesson, I bet you'll love the other way to play fast drum solos lesson, and I'm linking to that below. Had a great time with this one. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. See you back next week with another lesson of the week. Peace. Move over, Mr. Scorsese. Take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5, take 6, take 7, take 8, take 9, take 10, take 11. Got it good. And that's the end of the lesson. Yay.